Hi everyone, my name is Jason Diniega. I'm the head of product for Quillit AI, a product for market researchers brought to you by Civicom MRS. Civicom Marketing Research Services is a global leader in facilitating online and in-person IDIs and focus groups worldwide. Our extensive experience and deep understanding of the research workflow allows us to deliver you multiple products and services such as cyber facility for online IDIs, CV Select recruiting, transcriptions in online communities, and now Qualitative AI. We facilitated over a million IDIs and focus groups. We've been working with global privacy for 25 years. Think about the millions of respondents' data that we've had to protect on behalf of our clients, gathering the data, transmitting the data, and storing and processing the data. We've done it for so long, we've been through everything, and because of that, we now know how to make security top of mind. All this knowledge became a baseline foundation for building a truly secure and robust AI tool in the form of Quillit AI. We've purposefully built Quillit to be the most accurate and most secure toolbox for qualitative data management analysis and reporting. Quillit allows for multiple kinds of qualitative data, such as audio, video, transcripts, and even open ends. It's rich with features that help you jumpstart your client reported first draft summaries, answers tailored to your questions, and features that allow you to interact with our generative AI so that you could get to the heart of your insights. We have several features, including segmentation, citations that you could clip, conversational AI, and an analysis grid that helps you sift through mountains of qualitative data with confidence. Before we get into the fine print of Quillit's functionalities, I wanted to share with you the items that I'll be covering and discussing today. So I will cover each of these items: the research workflow, our goals to streamline and improve it, how choosing the right tool with the right LLM can impact the results of your research, what we've done to ensure security and accuracy for Quillit, and why it might be best for your security sensitive clients. And lastly, how to leverage Quillit's features and functionalities, capabilities to make research faster and easier for you. Let's get started. So this is the research workflow that we're all familiar with and know by heart. We have the pre-research part of the process, and then recruitment, finding those respondents, and then we have fielding or data collection, and then transcribing those interviews, cleaning up the data, assigning segments, and you go through our analysis phase, finding key themes, similarities, differences between those interviews, and then we create the final report for our end clients, discussing all of the findings from those interviews. Our vision for Quillit is to capture as much of this process as we can and eliminate the mundane parts and streamline it so that you, the researcher, can focus on what you do best, finding those little nuances between your data. Before we dive into specific functionalities, our clients typically go to us and their first question is always, is your product secure? Will your AI be training the model with the data we provide you? So we wanted to cover this first. There's a lot of tools out in the market that say that they're truly secure, but we wanted to equip you with certain guidelines or helpful questions to ask yourself when you're evaluating these software tools before you designing before you end up deciding which qualitative research tool you're going to use. So, in terms of security, what to ask and look for in your tool, these are three simple questions that you can get started with. One, if the qualitative research tool you're considering is using AI, you definitely want to check the backbone LLM they're using and check if it's safe. You'd want to check if the partner provider you're considering has certifications when it comes to handling data. And if you're dealing with highly sensitive data, such as healthcare information, you definitely want to make sure that your partnered provider has a BAA or a business associate agreement with their LLM provider. This is very important, especially for HIPAA compliance. So at this point, everyone's familiar with this term, LLM or large language model, but I wanted to cover it really briefly. So LLMs or large language models are a type of artificial intelligence designed to understand and generate human-like text based on the data it has been trained on. Keywords here are based on the data it's been trained on. So the software you're choosing or the LLM you're using could deliver you varying results depending on the amount of training data it used, the type of training data it used, and the training method and guidelines imposed by the developers. So very common LLMs today are ChatGPT by OpenAI, of course, Claude by Anthropic, and Gemini by Google. Here's some quick comparisons in terms of differentiators and advantages of each of these backbone LLMs. For the sake of this presentation, I'll just cover the two most common ones. We have ChatGPT and Claude, which majority, if not all, of qualitative research tools right now are using. Both of these use over 175 billion parameters for their training data for their newest models. These training data come in the form of articles, videos, audio, publicly available information, and privately held information. The primary difference being OpenAI generally tend to use publicly available information to train their models, while Claude tend to prefer or lean towards scientific journals, peer-reviewed journals for their training data. In terms of security and compliance certifications, you have the second column here. You have SOC 1, SOC 2. Key difference is Claude is HIPAA compliant, as well as having that ISO 42001 certification, which covers general guidelines for AI security and ethical use of AI. The primary difference when it comes to using these LLMs as a backbone for research tools is it depends on what you're looking for or what kind of research you're doing and what your priorities are. If you're just looking for versatility, ChatGPT could be a good fit. If you're trying to think about higher stakes usage, or if you want really secure usage, Claude might be perfect for you. If you're thinking about integratability, being able to integrate with Google Suite or other tools, Gemini could be a good fit. For us, we wanted to talk about what we've done for Quillit, our qualitative research tool to ensure security and accuracy. Relating it to the previous discussion, we wanted to tell you about the LLM we've chosen as our backbone. So for this, we wanted to choose an LLM provider that was aligned with our priorities. So for Quillit, we wanted security and accuracy to be top of mind, and it was very much aligned with the vision and where the direction of Anthropic's Claude. Another layer of security that we have with them is a BAA, as I mentioned earlier, a business associate agreement. This means that our HIPAA compliance extends to them and that they agree that as a third-party service provider, in this case LLM, they would handle all of the data coming to them from our clients with utmost security, privacy, and ensuring that none of that data is retained on their servers and none of it is used to train the AI model. Internally, we're also GDPR, SOC 2, and HIPAA compliance, allowing us to responsibly handle your data for both US and outside of the US clients. We have internal data retention and security practices. We have very strict protocols for data retention. We don't keep any of your data for more than 6 months unless you specify it in your contract. We also stay on top of new regulations for AI, like ISO 42001 and the more recent EU AI Act. We have an internal information security and compliance team that makes sure we're always on top of these compliance and AI requirements. In terms of accuracy, we've done several items here. One of the most important ones is very strict prompt engineering and processing guidelines. When you're trying to probe Quillit for insights, before the questions or your prompts go to our AI model, it also already goes through several guidelines, such as do not use any outside data outside of the reference files provided by the researcher, you. Do not ever infer answers. Remove the moderator from the analysis. Always provide backup citations or reference citations when you're providing insights, and many more. Aside from that accuracy engineering, we've also added multiple layers of validation tools, making sure that you can have confidence on the insights that Quillit gives you. We mentioned earlier that we've chosen Anthropic as our backbone LLM. More than security or being one of the best, if not the best, in terms of security for LLMs, their newest model also performs higher in terms of accuracy compared to everything that's out there in the market. The newest model of Claude, in terms of contextual understanding and reasoning, beats out all of its predecessors and competitors in the market by pretty substantial margin. In terms of the ability to understand and reason in multiple languages, which might be critical if you're doing multi-market studies. Also, the newest models from Claude beat out its competitors. And lastly, understanding of visual diagrams similarly beats out its competitors by a pretty huge margin. We just told you how we've designed our infrastructure to be very intentional, making sure that you can be confident with our security and that the insights that Quillit gives you is highly accurate. Now we want to talk about features, capabilities, and how Quillit and its functionalities can help you streamline your workflow and help you make research faster and easier. As we mentioned earlier, our general vision for Quillit is to capture as much of the research workflow as we can and eliminate the mundane parts of it. Right now, our focus is in data management and cleanup process, analysis, and reporting parts of the research workflow. Before we talk about the features, here's what some of our clients are saying about Quillit's accuracy. So, majority of our clients rate Quillit's accuracy between 80 to 98%, which is pretty high for any AI tool out there. And here's some verbatim testimonials. So easy to create top lines, and they're accurate. The summaries are effective. It was a well-written and accurate summary of what we heard during the interviews. Before I go through a demo with you guys, I wanted to just briefly show you some of the features you're going to see so that you're already familiar once you see them later on. In terms of input, Quillit accepts multiple kinds of qualitative data, interviews, IDIs, focus groups in the form of video, audio, transcript, and even open ends. It's proficient in multiple languages, as listed here. And one of our standout features here is we have a very accurate machine transcription, which a lot of our clients say is very close to what they would do in-house. We have functionalities for data management and cleanup. We have the ability to edit and clean up the transcripts within the app. You can easily export and import them. And if you're not happy with the transcription provided by our AI, you can also opt for a human cleanup as part of our services for Quillit. And one of the standout features here is whenever you edit the transcript within the app, it automatically aligns with the video. So this comes in handy later on for citations, being able to play those references provided to you in the analysis phase. So I'll cover that later on. And the second is you can easily edit these transcripts, download them, and edit them using tools you're already familiar with. You can easily download it on Google Docs, edit it on Word or Google Docs, re-upload it, and it would auto-align with your videos. Next, we give you the ability to segment your data in multiple ways. If you're using IDIs, you can easily add tags to each of your recordings or IDIs. If you're doing open ends and focus groups, so there are cases where a single file might have multiple speakers. So our AI detects all of those speakers in those interviews and gives you the ability to tag them individually to the segment that they belong to. So very important in picking out those nuances later on in the analysis phase. Also, we've added an easy way to import segments. If you already have a recruitment grid, you just need to follow our template, upload it, and would automatically assign all of those segments to the individual speakers. So as long as you have a recruitment grid, you can easily assign segments in a matter of minutes, maybe a lot less. Next, after you've added those, after you've cleaned up your data, after you've added all those segments, you can start probing Quillit for insights. So automatically, we call this the Quillit report. It gives you a very accurate top-line summary of all of your interviews, recordings, and then you can add questions, insights that you want to pick out from all those interviews. For example, after defining each individual speakers as part of a segment, I want to know for like the outside US segment, how many respondents felt good about concept A versus concept B. So you can do things like that. You can ask segment-specific questions, probe your data, and gather insights. And each insight that Quillit provides you, it comes with an accompanying citation or reference. So I'll discuss that in this next slide here. We have playable and clippable citations. As I mentioned earlier, for each insight that Quillit provides you, there's that little bracket with the number. And once you click it, it would show you the corresponding insight that the corresponding code that supports that insight. And if you're using a recording, you can even play that entire recording so you can view what was said in context. And if you like what you've seen in that video, you can even clip it and use it for that final report, helping you get your point across to your end clients. So bringing your insights to life, generate clips that get those points across. We've also built conversational AI. So after that initial Quillit report, if you feel the need to dive deeper on a particular insight that was provided by Quillit, you can easily do so using this feature. You can ask to expound on a particular insight, or you can ask for more supporting quotes for that insight. Next, we have one of our newest features, the analysis grid. It gives you a bird's eye view of all of your data. So it's a question and answer grid, and how it works is you can either add questions manually or you can use your discussion guide. So we pick out all of the questions from your discussion guide, and then we look at all of your respondents throughout the interviews. We extract all of the respondents for each of your questions in the discussion guide and plot it out in a table format like this one. So after it's laid out, you can easily filter out those respondents based on the segments you've defined, or you can even do an AI search. For example, you wanted to see how many people mention the word Apple throughout your interviews. You can easily use it with our search functionality. And not only will Quillit look for exact searches of the word Apple, it will also look for similar meanings, giving you a broader sense of how many times or what people said about that word or that particular concept. So yeah, now I want to show you how all of those features work together. Let's go through the demo. Welcome to Quillit. Once you've logged in, you'll be able to see this screen. This is our Quillit workspace. Here you'd be able to see all the studies or projects you've created. Quillit generally works with all kinds of qualitative research projects. We've seen our clients do multi-market studies, UX research, exploratory research, etc. So for the sake of this demo, we've already set up a project for everyone. We've made a coffee study, and our objective for the study was to figure out the different factors that affect consumer decision making when it comes to choosing their favorite coffee shops. So let's go ahead and go inside this project. Once we're inside the project, we'd have the ability to upload our files, our IDIs or recordings, or even transcripts. So I've already loaded in the files that we need for this demo. As you can see, we have our interview IDIs here. I've uploaded 8 files just to keep it simple, but you can definitely upload more. And once we're on this part of the app, we have multiple capabilities to manage our data and do a cleanup. So before we hop onto our analysis, one of the things we'd probably want to do is make sure that the transcripts, the terminologies are clean. Let me show you how you do that. You just need to go into your recording or IDI. Once you're inside your recording, go ahead and play it, check the contents, and you'd also be able to see the machine generated transcript. And if you feel like there's personal information that you'd want to redact, or high complexity words or jargons that you'd want to check if the machine got right, you can easily just go ahead and go to the edit transcript functionality, hover over to the edit tab here. And since we're doing a coffee study, we don't expect high complexity words or jargons here. But for example, we very quickly want to replace the word store with the word shop. So that's how easy it is to do. Just click Save Transcript. And one special thing we did here is whenever you edit the transcript, we automatically align it with your recording. So this will become very convenient later on when Quillit gives you those insights for analysis and we'd want a referenced clip or citation. You can go ahead and close this one. And you have many more functionalities here that help you manipulate the recording and the transcript. If you're not happy with the AI generated transcript, you could also request a human transcript, assisted transcript from our team. So one other thing we could do here is start adding that initial layer of segmentation. We can easily do that by using our functionality here to add multiple tags. As you can see, I've already added some age information, age bracket information, and demographic information. Let's say we'd want to add like gender information. So for Jordan, Evander, and Joe, we'd want to add the male, or we'd want to tag them as part of the male segment. Easily do that. And then for Jerla, Kathy, Peggy, Ashley, for Rihanna, we'd want to add the female segment. And now we just want to make sure everything's checked once we hit the save button. And as you can see, it's now going to fill that up with the updated segment information. Now that we've made sure the transcripts are clean and we've added our segments for our respondents, we can go ahead and get started with our analysis. So let's go ahead and create a Quillit report. So we don't have a Quillit report yet. Let's go ahead and create a new one. This is the initial Quillit interface. At the very top here, you have your basic navigation. You have a way to go back to the dashboard or the list of your Quillit reports that you've made in the past. And we have the basic functionalities here. We have the Quillit report, which is what we're looking at right now. We have files and segments and the analysis grid, which I'll touch on later on. One thing we want to make sure here is we have citations and segmentation enabled. Citations make sure that every insight that Quillit provides you has a corresponding code for reference, and segmentation gives us that ability to use the tag we've used earlier as segments for the analysis phase. So let's go ahead and get started. We can call this report top line for coffee shop study. And then very quickly, we'd want to select the files we want to use for this analysis. So let's just go ahead and select everything. And earlier on, I demoed how you would add segments for each of your files. Now I want to quickly show you how you would use those segment or tag information for this analysis phase. Here under files and segments, you can see every file that we've selected to use. These are the interview files that we want to use for this analysis or this Quillit report. If you click on this card here, it would show you all of the speakers that are AI detected within that file. It also shows you the segments that we've added earlier. For this demo, let's go ahead and clear the segments again. I'll show you how easy it is to assign these segments. So you could individually do it. You could add the segments per speaker. You could also apply the segments that we've defined earlier. Not for here, because this is a moderator. For IDIs, it's mostly going to be two speakers. It's the moderator and the respondent. But for focus groups or open ends, you'd probably find more speakers in a single file. Quillit would look for all those speakers and give you the ability to tag each and every one of them. An easier way to do this is if you already have your recruitment grid, you could easily just import that, follow our format, import that, and it would automatically assign those segments to all of your respondents. We have a sample one here. Very, very simple. We have the name, or respondent identifier, file names, and then we have all of the segments that we want to add in between. In this case, we have location, age, and gender. I've exported this into a CSV format, and now we can use that for importing the segments. Very quickly, we see how everything matches with our interview files. We can go ahead and click save, and then as you can see, it fills up all of those segment information for each of our respondents. Now that everyone's tagged, we can go back to our analysis. Let's add some context. This is the who, what, when, where, and why of your report. Let's just go ahead and add our research objective. This is a qualitative research study that aims to explore the different factors that affect consumer decision making when choosing their preferred coffee shops. We can select the input and output language we want for Quillit. And then here we can now see or start adding our questions. We can also see the segments that we've added beforehand. For example, we want to ask segment-specific questions. For the male segment, what are the primary drivers for choosing their favorite coffee shops? Favorite, maybe preferred coffee shops. And then we can go ahead and actually repeat the same question, but now for the female segment. And then lastly, if we don't select any segments, that means it would scan all of the respondents that we've selected from the interview files. So what are common themes across all respondents? So we can go ahead and start generating this report. Now we have our initial top line analysis. By default, Quillit gives you a quick summary of the insights or themes it was able to pick out across your interviews. And if we scroll to the bottom here, we'll start seeing the answers to our questions. For question 1, for the following market segment male, what are the primary drivers for choosing their preferred coffee shops? So for the male market segment, these are the primary drivers: coffee quality, location and convenience, ambience and comfort, amenities, parking, customer service, Wi-Fi availability. Similarly, for question 2, now for the female segment, you have coffee quality, ambience, location and convenience, food options, price and value, cleanliness and overall atmosphere, unique offerings, consistency. Now we start seeing like the commonalities and differences between the two segments. Lastly, across all the segments, the key factors as we've seen from the male and female segment. Coffee quality, ambience, location, and convenience were common factors. As we see here, every insight given by Quillit comes with a corresponding number. These numbers correspond to quotes that support that insight. For example, for number 3, ambience and comfort. For Jordan, so I used to actually years ago when I was in college, I used to go to coffee shops fairly often to work, and the coffee there is just buying coffee as a ticket to be able to sit there for a while and do work. And so I'd say the main thing is that it's not super loud, it's not super noisy, and that the seats that are reasonably comfortable, supporting that ambience and comfort insight. If, as researchers, you'd feel the need to dive deeper on any particular insight, one thing you could take advantage of is our new conversational AI feature. For example, for that particular insight that I just said earlier, for the male segment, can you give me 2 more supporting quotes regarding ambience and comfort, right? So Quillit says, certainly, here are 2 additional supporting quotes regarding ambience and comfort. So something I prefer is if the place is quiet and peaceful. Like, I'm not saying that it does not need to be zero noise. If it's quiet, I can focus on what I want to do during my visit. So that's from Evander. Another one is parking is a great deal for me. I do need space to park my scooter, so I avoid those stops. But yes, so ambience and comfort. We have another one, I think. Yeah, so quiet and peaceful. So all these codes supporting driving that point across for ambient and comfort. So if you feel the need to dive a little deeper, you can ask more questions for Quillit in the conversational functionality. If the given citations here, if you feel like it will help you drive across the point for your end clients, you can also easily click expand, so you can view the quotation in full context, and you can easily make a clip. So just click make a clip here, and I'll show you how to download and use that earlier on. So for now, if you want to take this report to the next level, for example, one factor mentioned here is convenience. If you want to see all of the mentions across your interviews regarding convenience, you can do so by taking advantage of our newest feature. Let me show you how you do just that into our analysis grid. Again, our analysis grid is a bird's eye view of all of the responses in your interview based on your discussion guide. There's 2 ways to get started. One is you can manually add questions if you remember the questions you've asked, or the more easy way is you can just use your discussion guide. So here we have created the discussion guide. These are the questions we've asked across all our interviews. But for this demo, I just used a shorter version. I just used half of the questions so that we could generate the grid faster. Just select the discussion guide you want to use. And what this would do is Quillit would start looking for those critical questions that is included in your file. These are the questions it was able to find. You can edit it. You can edit the questions, you can remove them or add as necessary. And then we can go ahead and click save and apply those questions. And they would now appear as the columns to our grid. Now we can start running the AI analysis. So what this would do is Quillit would start going through each of those respondents and picking out the questions, picking up the responses according to the questions from your discussion guide. Okay, now we have our grid. As you can see, it fills up the table with the responses across your interviewees or respondents. After the grid has been generated, there's a few things you can do here. One is you can easily filter out the responses. For example, if you just want to see the responses of all of the males from the US segment, so in this case, we just have one person that matches that category, you could easily do that. Another thing is you could take advantage of our AI-powered keyword search. This does not only look for exact matches, it also looks for similar meaning. So the example I used earlier is if you want to see how many mentions there are of the word convenience or mentions related to convenience, easily do so. Okay, we've done the search. What you want to do here is look for those matches. Here, we have added confidence levels as well. As you can see, we have medium, low, and high confidence matches. You'd probably want to look for the high confidence matches first. These are exact mentions of the word you just searched for. As we can see here, convenience is mentioned. And then for the low and medium matches, medium level matches, it's not exactly convenience, but it may be related to convenience in meaning. We give you a broader look into the word you're looking for. And if you feel like the mentions or the verbatim quotes here, again, these are not paraphrased. These are verbatim quotes from your respondents. If it would help you drive the point across, so if convenience is a key finding from your analysis and you want to communicate that to your end client, you can easily expand this quotation and create a clip out of it. Convenience is big. Also like ease of access. Let's go ahead and create a clip. And then to access this clip, we just need to click view media there, and we redirect to the recording page. So just navigate over to the clips. As you can see, it's still generating that clip for us. But once it's ready, you can go ahead and download that and use it for your presentation. So yeah, that's how you generally use Quillit. After you're done with the report and your analysis phase, you can head back to the dashboard. There is our generated report, and you can easily download it as PDF, doc, TXT, and then turn it into a presentation for your end clients. So yeah, that's how you use Quillit. So that's how Quillit makes research easier for you. Let's take a quick look at what some of our very satisfied and happy clients are saying. So, pulling direct quotes made my job so much easier. We love the clipping feature. We're using it more and more in the regular report. It makes life easier. It brings interviews to life with our clients. How easy it was to generate the AI reports. My client was extremely happy with the results. And it looks like this may be the only deliverable from now on, which is great. So, Quillit is really helping our clients streamline their workflow, make it faster, simpler, and easier. And it can do the same benefits for you too. We have a free trial right now available. So all you have to do is scan this QR code, or feel free to reach out to us using this email, inquire@civicommrs.com, to make your research faster and easier as well, so you can feel the Quillit difference. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.